Well, welcome in once again, everybody, to another. It's going to be a terrific edition, you know that, of the 19th Hole Podcast for golfers. I'm your host, Ennis Silvers, and I guess before we get started with the show, we got a wonderful guest for you today because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, and I know a subject that a lot of our viewers and listeners like, and that is the mental game in golf. And there's a lot of back and forth as to its importance. I know Mark, a few years back, really didn't give the credence to the mental game as I should, but over the last couple of years, I have really come to learn that it is an important and integral part of the game of golf if you really want to be an elite or really, really good player. Anyway, we hope that everybody out there had a great Christmas, that Santa was good to everybody, that Santa brought you the new clubs you wanted, the new driver, a couple of dozen balls or whatever. So we just hope that you had a very, very nice day with your loved ones or your family or whatever you got. Or maybe you went out and played golf. I know in Vegas there's a number of golf courses that are open on Christmas Day. And so whatever you, we hope that it was very enjoyable and that you're looking forward to a great 2025. The weather here is a little on the chilly side. We've got a little bit of rain yesterday that we need, and it's a little bit of cloudy, but hey, after all, you know, it is winter. And for those of you that have followed me for a long time, you know, I like the warm weather. Gets the bones nice and loose, and you don't have to worry about getting layered up, and you know, the game's tough enough without having to overcome that stuff. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about our special guest making his first appearance on the 19th Hole Golf Podcast. Mark is a certified mental performance consultant that has 25 years of teaching and coaching experience. So obviously by now he knows what the hell he's doing. Some of the things Mark focuses upon with his students are developing confidence, so important, focus, mental toughness, composure, motivation, and attitude, which I think is really, really an important thing. The attitude you have when you get out on the golf course, I think is key to playing a good game. Mark works with individuals and even groups of people on this stuff. Mark varies in the type of therapy he uses, such as biofeedback, which we've talked about before, positive psychology, cognitive and mindfulness behavior. And those are kind of fancy terms, and we're going to ask Mark to kind of break it down for us. And Mark works with players of all different levels in various sports, not just golf. But today we're gonna focus on golf accordingly. So anyway, Mark, thanks for coming on the show. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
You as well, and I'm looking forward to it. There are a lot of mental coaches, and they go by various names. And stuff that we've had most of them on the show, and they're all interesting because they all have their own slant on what should be taught to their students. But let me start off and ask you, what's the difference, Mark, between a coach and a consultant such as yourself?
Well, I think I actually wear two hats there.
Okay.
If I could talk about that. So
Sure.
When I think about a coach, it's somebody that's giving direct instruction. You know, I coach a high school golf team. So I'm working with kids on course management, on their swing, how to play the game, how to score. Yeah. I also consult with people, could be executives, C-suite, and that's giving them skills to go help them be successful when they need it the most.
Yeah.
So I do some of both. If I had to pick a side, I'd probably fall down more on the coach side.
Okay.
And here's why I'd say that. So the word coach comes from a Hungarian word that means carriage. Well, what does carriage do? Carriage transports you to your desired destination.
Right.
And so that's what I like to think I do. I help you get from where you are to where you want to go.
Right.
You have the target, and then I provide the means to get you there.
Okay. All right. What would you say, again, kind of falling back on this question, separates you, Mark Cheney, from the other mental people
I think
in the field of golf?
Yeah, I think everyone, as you already said, has their own unique approach
Yeah.
to how they address things. I definitely think of like a teacher, and so I pull ideas from a lot of different places and find what works for the individual. So I don't have a system. I have an approach. I have a framework that I like to work from, but everybody's going to be different. If you go to the gym, your listeners are setting that New Year's resolution, and I'm going to get in better shape. If you show up at the gym and the strength coach hands you a program and says, do this, and has never talked to you, never looked at you, never seen you move, well, you may get some benefit of, but there's no real personalization to it.
Right.
And the mental game is the same way. We have to understand what an individual's goals are,
Sure.
what their past is, what they're trying to accomplish, what their strengths are, they've struggled. And so I really think that I personalize things, whether that's for a team or for an individual or even for business, finding a way to make it connected. And so I like to use a lot of analogies, stories, images that help people connect. And it's the relationship really that makes the difference in when you're working with an athlete.
Yeah. I would think that you have to get to know your client, so to speak. Hate to use that word, and then build up some kind of a trust, some kind of a bond. I like this guy. I know what he's telling me is the truth. It's good for me, so I'm going to follow it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell mine, and I think client is an appropriate term. Substitute athlete in there too, but I tell the people I work with, I might not be the right person, and I'll be the first to say, hey, I don't know if this is working. Let's find you someone who will. And just like with the golf swing, different instructors connect in different ways. And so, the goal is to help people be successful, and whether that's me or somebody else.
Yeah. And
If we've helped them,
I would
then
imagine,
we've
don't mean to
done
interrupt,
it.
but just like a top teaching professional, one of the critical components that you have to have is communication.
Oh, for sure. You have to know how to frame the message and connect with people. So if I'm working with a 16-year-old or a 60-year-old, those are two different conversations.
Yeah.
And so I have to connect with them in a way that's meaningful to them.
Yeah. Sports psychology is, I think, a relatively newish field, if I'm not mistaken. Yes or no?
You're absolutely correct. If you think about it, I think it was 1984 was the first time the U.S. Olympic team had a sports psychologist go to the Olympic Games. So that's 40 years ago. It's not that new. Even, I'd say 20 years ago, if somebody said they were working with a sports psychologist, in many sports, that was a weakness. There's something wrong with you. And now we're starting to see that pendulum shift where it's not just
commonly accepted.
And it's not a weakness, it's a strength.
No, it's a strength because if this guy wants to get better,
Right.
so he's getting help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got to, if you want to get better at your swing, you go find a swing instructor.
Right.
If you want to get stronger, more flexible, you work with somebody that's TPI certified. So you want to get better at the mental game, you work with a mental coach.
Right. Yeah, it's that simple, folks, but you got to do it. You got to get off the couch and you got to do it if you want to get better at what you're doing. And speaking about what you're doing, you do a lot of golf, and I know you do other forms of sport. Why don't you tell everybody what else you do? Baseball?
I've done baseball, Football, basketball, golf, tennis, lacrosse, swimming, taekwondo, jujitsu,
really?
trapeze, and then corporate space.
Wow.
Executives who want to be better as like a corporate athlete.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. Trapeze, huh?
It's an
Don't
interesting.
fall, don't fall. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I'd love to be able to do the trapeze. That looks like fun anyway. But I don't know. It's got to be hard. Are focus and concentration, think about it, the same thing?
In a lot of people
Concentrate on this. Focus on what you're
a
doing.
lot of people
you
use
hear
those
that all the time,
right.
Mark.
A lot of people use those terms interchangeably.
Yeah.
I think you direct your focus. Like, what are you choosing to focus on?
Yeah.
And then concentration is the verb, the action of I am concentrating on where I've chosen to point my focus. So think of focus like a flashlight, wherever you point that. And then now I direct my energy at that point. That's the concentration piece.
Yeah, yeah, that's well said. What are some of the mental, and I know there's several mental aspects of golf? It's obviously more than one.
Oh, there's so much time to think. If you think about a round of golf, and let's say you're a scratch golfer, which you are, of course, Dennis, right?
No, the only thing that I'm scratching is my butt as
Okay.
I'm walking down the
Well,
fairway.
we're gonna say it's a career
I mean,
day.
I'm a good player, but I'm a scratch player. Yeah.
You shoot 72. On an average day in Las Vegas, that takes us about 5 hours to play that round of golf.
Right.
How much of that time are you actually in motion? Are you actually playing golf?
Not a whole lot.
Not much. A swing takes about a second.
Yeah.
If you count your pre-shot routine, so
Right.
add in another 45, let's be generous, another 60 seconds. So, you're talking 70, 72 minutes of
it's
actual
minimal.
physical motion, and then
minimal.
maybe another 60, 70 minutes of thinking about it. What are you doing the other 3 hours?
Yeah.
You're thinking.
Good point.
Your mind is free to go wherever it wants to go. Which
Or I'm on a phone call for the beverage cart lady.
you could be chatting
Yeah.
up the cart girl.
Yeah.
But that time can really be beneficial, or
Yeah.
you can let the mind go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think the other piece of golf that's really unique is you don't have a foul ball. You don't get a second serve.
No.
And so there are consequences for every shot. And
True.
And no substitute.
Yeah.
So-
concentrated. Absolute 100%.
So you are out there on your own, and that's why I think golf is the most mental of all the sports.
Yeah. Because it's all about you.
It is.
It's not a team deal in the pure sense of the word, but yeah. Lots of discussion, Mark, but what percentage of the game is mental? People talk about this all the time. And how much do swing mechanics come into play? And I often ask, can somebody be a good player without having a top-notch mental game?
So I'll answer that in a couple of ways. When
Okay.
I ask athletes this, any sport, but especially golf, pretty commonly I get the answer 90%. And so much so that's actually the name of my newsletter, is the 90%.
I like that.
So on the flip side, somebody asked Bernhard Langer this a couple of years ago, and he's like, well, that's ridiculous. You could have a fantastic mental game, but I, as a professional, am going to beat you every day. So I like to draw a distinction when you're comparing players of comparable physical and technical ability, then yes, then that mental aspect becomes more and more important. You compare us to a professional golfer,
yeah.
then it doesn't matter how good my mental game is, he's going to beat my pants off.
Absolutely.
But all things being equal, so take out the equipment differences, take out the technical abilities, the physical
Yeah,
abilities,
yeah.
then I like to come back to that 90% number.
Yeah. So there's hope. So you can be a good player without having the best of mental games.
There are, and you see guys on tour that have had very successful tour careers, not necessarily winning a lot, but they've been on tour for a long time.
Right. And they've
So
made
then
a lot of money.
And then it depends, how do you define success?
Yeah.
If you make a lot of money and you're success, okay, then, but for those guys,
Yeah.
I think winning is how many of them define success. And so now
Yeah,
you start to
definitely.
say, well, maybe he wasn't as successful as he could have been, or maybe he should have won more
Right.
majors than he
Exactly.
actually did. And that comes down to one decision or one shot.
Right.
And that's the mental side.
Absolutely right. All right, I tell you what, we're going to step away, take a short break, and when we come back, we will have a lot more with our special guest, Mark Cheney. So stay with us, don't move. We're back with you right after this.
Carter Bonus of Spectrum Golf not slowing down. His third year at the PGA Show, and the cameras are still following him. This time, Whistle Sports Media and Entertainment and Fox 35's morning show in Orlando, Florida. Carter, who is on the autism spectrum, has been Sports Illustrated Sports Kid of the Year, the Masters UPS Unstoppable CEO of the Year, all while securing a spot on the Stars of the Spectrum golf team created by former NFL quarterback Doug Flutie. Carter has been telling his incredible story about why he started his line of golf apparel around the globe, and his impact is making a difference.
I know that some stuff seems hard and that it's impossible, but one of my favorite quotes is, "It seems impossible until it's done." And over the past 3 years, I never thought I would get here and do all the stuff that I'm doing right now. Be Sports Illustrated Sports Kid of the Year for 2022. Be UPS's and the Masters Unstoppable CEO. Meet Steph Curry. Meet all of these good people. Meet Ernie Els, Alex Checa. Meet all, and be speaking in schools and in front of all of you good people. And everyone that I've spoken to before. I never thought I would do any of this. When I was little, I thought I would be nothing. But now I'm actually here, and I am successful, and I am happy, and I am thriving, and I'm saying if I can do it, you guys can do it.
Carter, who loves playing golf, designed his own logo and put it on the softest material he could find because he has a skin sensitivity. So it not only looks good, but feels good too. He offers hats, belts, shirts, pants, and more. For more information, go to carterspectrumgolf.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I told you we weren't going to be too long. We're back with our special guest, Mark Cheney, who is a mental, I keep wanting to say mental coach.
That works.
He coaches, he also consults, and so he's multitudinous in his ability to help you up here, to help you up there. What do you try and garner or look for when doing a person's profile? And I assume you do, maybe incorrectly, but why is that important to do a person's profile, and what do you try to get out of it?
Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive process. It probably takes me at least an hour to really start to understand how a person thinks and what they're looking at. And we're going to recover some core areas. One, I want to know about them, their history of playing golf, let's say. When did they start? Why did they start? What their goals are? What are they trying to accomplish? Where do they want to go? Along with that, I want to know when they played their best, when they struggled, because most people have some mental skills already. They have things they've used that have helped them be successful, and sometimes they just need to be reminded of that. So let's find out when you've been at your best, but then also when you struggle. I call those opportunities to improve.
Right.
So where can we focus on that? But then I like to back it up even a bit more about who you are as a person and not just who you are as a golfer. Because I think a lot of times if your identity is wrapped up in your golf score, now a poor score or the possibility of making a poor score starts to become a threat to who you are as a person, and then people don't respond to that. And that can be you playing a $2 Nassau with your buddies, or it could be I'm about to qualify for the tour, or I'm about to win a tournament for the first time. What could this mean for me? And all of a sudden that gets in the way of playing golf. So let's make sure we know who we are as a person first. Then why are we doing this? And then we can get into the how and the what.
Yeah, I'm laughing only because it reminds me, of a guy coming home, just had a terrible round. He comes home, he's yelling at his wife, he's screaming, then she must have, oh, honey, you must have had a bad round today, right? Yeah. As opposed to coming home, come on, I want to take you out for dinner. Oh, you shot a good round, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very typical.
And if you mentioned attitude, if your attitude depends on how you play, well, then your attitude is going to be all over the place, and your mood's going to be all over the place. So I want to identify those things. I want to look at also mindset of what's your approach to struggle. What's your approach to, how do you view effort? How do you view failure? How do you view other people being successful? And so getting into identifying, do you have a growth mindset or do you have a fixed mindset?
Right.
And then I'm always going to give them opportunities to ask me questions, because there should never be a time where everything I say is taken.
Well, it's got to be a two-way street. It's,
Right.
that reminds me of me and a lot of other people I know. You're on the first tee. Man, I can't wait to get going. I'm with my buddies. It's a beautiful day. What do? You hook a ball out of bounds. You push it in the water, and they go, oh, my God, what a way to start. All right. It's probably going to be a double bogey, and you got bad attitude right off the bat. How do you get over that?
So that's a shot, or that's a hole. And then you have to remind yourself of how many more holes you have. So this is my favorite story to that point. Several years ago, I was coaching in the girls, high school girls state tournament here. And my best player, who had a Division I scholarship, committed already, she's one of the favorites to the state tournament, tees off, I'm with another player. I get a phone call from a rules official and says, hey, just to let you know, your player made a 13 or a 14 on the fourth hole.
Ooh.
We think it was a 13, so we're going to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I said, whoa, wait, a 13? Like, what happened? And she had hooked her ball on the rocks. Instead of taking unplayable, had just kept hacking at it, eventually got it out of the rocks, hit it up on the green, tapped in for a 13. So I roll up a hole and a half later and said, hey, what's going on? And the first thing she says to me is, it's not a typo, because we have live scoring, so I could see it on my phone.
Right.
I could see the score. She said, it's not a typo, because sometimes kids do type things in the wrong.
Well, true.
And it's like, it's not a typo. I was like, I know. And I said, you have 33 more holes to play. And she kind of said, ugh, because she knew, like, she basically thought she had shot herself out of the tournament.
Yeah.
But she reset and went on, shot 77 for the day. So kept herself in the hunt.
With a 13.
With a
That's pretty
13,
good.
yes. And then the
Wow.
next day, goes out, shoots 65. comes back, wins the tournament by 2 strokes.
Oh my goodness.
So she wins the state championship
That's some story.
with a 13 on the card.
Wow.
And it was all about the ability to, okay, I can't change what happened.
Yeah.
I have to play the next hole. And how am I going to approach this?
Yeah.
And I think we've all had those rounds where we've started bogey, 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 or we started birdie, birdie, birdie. Well, how do you respond in each of those? In both cases, you just have to play that next hole and that next shot. And as hard as that can be, it's bringing yourself back to, I'm playing this shot, this moment.
And it is hard.
It is.
It
Absolutely.
is hard. And I think a lot of people out there that have experienced that know that, but you got to separate it. And like you say, you got a lot more holes left. You got to keep going.
Yeah. And if I could add to that too, I think there are a lot of people that believe, and I've even heard golf professionals who have a suspicion of sports psychology say this, well, that whole just clear your mind, have no thoughts. Like, I don't buy that. And I don't buy that either. I don't think you can just forget about that completely. Like, it happened. It's a fact. Let's acknowledge it. And so for me, a big part of how I like to work with people is let's be aware of what our thinking is. Mm-hmm. And then let's accept what happened and accept the thought. And instead of trying to push that thought away, just say, okay, I'm having a thought. Yeah, I'm disappointed by what happened in the last hole.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate. That changed what I expected. But now it's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to accept it, and now I'm going to move on.
I like the some of the announcers on television when you're tuning into a PGA Tour event. The guy will 3-putt, the 18th green or something, and it costs him whether it's a tournament or a lot of money, and they always say, "Boy, that's going to be a tough thing to swallow at dinner time, right? It's not going to be able to get over it and stuff." Well, who knows? You're going to think about it a little bit, but I don't think it's really going to ruin your dinner that much. Mark, how much does a person's personality play a role in building mental acuity?
I think there's a big component to that. And that plays out in different ways. So you have the players who are more expressive and extroverted and conversational, and they want to be having that conversation and be very outgoing throughout their round. Mm-hmm. And then you have the other players who are more introverted or more stoic, and just how do you go about that round? Both can be successful, but it's understanding how you work and what works with that. So there's a really good book written by Deborah Graham and John Stabler called The 8 Traits of Champion Golfers. And so Deborah Graham did her doctoral research on personalities of professional golfers.
Yeah,
and
been both on the show.
Yeah.
They're terrific.
And-
Man and wife, by the way.
Yeah. And so she identified the personality profile of frequent winners versus people who don't win as often on tour. And so when you start to see, okay, how can you align parts of your personality with that profile, you can be more successful. And like I said, then it's understanding who you are as a person and leveraging that to be successful. That's what Nicholas said, was understand who you are as a player and then manage that on the golf course. And obviously he was very different in personality than Ali Trevino.
Yeah, he was pretty damn good at it.
But they both made it work.
Yeah, they sure did. They sure did. It's interesting how people talk much more, putting the mental picture aside, of personalities that creep into their golf swing. Guy's got a real fast golf swing, a slower golf swing, because that's the way, he talks slow, he walks slow, and all of that. I don't know that I buy that 100%, but I don't know. You mentioned that you help people, athletes, and different genres of sports. So how does your message differ when you're talking to a golfer as opposed to a baseball player?
So golf and baseball have a lot of parallels, and
Yeah.
Baseball players love to play golf.
Yeah.
I don't know that golfers really love to play baseball so much, but there's that approach of there's a lot of time between opportunities, and there's times to think. But like I said earlier, baseball players get that foul ball. It's in baseball, it's almost two different games because you're at the plate versus out in the field, or then being the pitcher. So you can be very specialized, and in sticking with the baseball, if you're a hitter, you've only got to beat the pitcher once. But if you're a pitcher, you've got to beat that hitter 3 times to strike him out.
Right.
And so there's a difference of approach there of what's your job? How do you measure success? I think is a big difference too. In baseball, they talk about quality at bats, or that's something I like to talk about with my baseball players too, is what's a successful at bat? Because it might not be getting a hit. It might be, did you work the count? Did you get 8 to 10 pitches off that pitcher? Did you get a good look at his stuff so the next time around you can have a better look? Do you have some information to help tell your teammates?
Yeah.
You could hit it, hit a hot liner, but it goes straight to somebody. You can squib it and get on base. So it's very much like, how do you define success? Same thing. I think there's really more similarities with golf and baseball than differences. But again, how do you define success in the golf swing?
Yeah, and there's some similarities in the golf swing and the baseball
Right.
swing as well. All right, so you are talking to the first baseman. You're helping them in whatever areas. Is it a completely different message when you're talking to a right fielder?
There's the positional differences.
Yeah.
So that's more the contextual knowledge, what goes into playing the position. What are your responsibilities? Where do you need to be? But ultimately, humans are humans.
Yeah.
And we're going to experience the same thing. So it's how do you apply those principles to their specific context. So with that right fielder, they might not see a lot of action over the course of a game. So how do you help them maintain their focus, back to your earlier question, so that in those moments when they actually do have the ball hit towards them, now they're ready to execute and play. So they haven't fallen asleep sitting out there. Versus a first baseman who's anticipating much more action. But in both cases, it's how do I redirect my attention so that I'm ready for what's coming.
Right. So I stay enthused. I make sure I catch that ball. Yeah. All right, speaking about catching, I just got a message caught to me. We're up against a hard break. We're going to step away again and take another short break. Come back with Mark Cheney, and we're going to talk about some more mental stuff. So don't go away. We return right after this. Hi, I'm Dennis Silvers, host of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. Here to tell you about a product that's improved my game, Poptical sunglasses. Unlike ordinary sunglasses, Popticals are collapsible using a unique rail system that lets you easily store them in their protective case. They offer crystal clear vision, UV protection, and are scratch resistant and water repellent. Made in Italy, they look great on and off the course. Plus, Popticals come with a 2-year warranty, a 30-day return policy, and make the perfect gift for the golfer in your life. Visit Popticals.com for more info. I'm Dennis Silvers, host of the 19th Hole Golf podcast, asking each and every person who plays golf, beginner or seasoned player, what's the most important club in your bag? chances are you'll get a lot of different answers. There really is only one right answer. And if you guessed your putter, you are 100% correct. Just ask any professional golfer, man or woman who plays on any major tour. I am very excited to announce that Zebra Golf, one of the game's most iconic putter brands, has made a long-awaited return to golf's retail marketplace with the launch of their milled series that feature 4 new putter styles designed to suit even my putting stroke. All putters, like golf clubs, are not created equal. Zebra mill putters are now offered in your choice of 4 awesome models, 2 blades, 1 mallet, and 1 higher MOI Fang design, with adjustable weights available to help customize your putter. All come with a mid-size grip for enhanced feel. So, if you want the one club that's going to lower your scores, why wait? Go to zebragolf.com and put one in your bag today. The only thing you've got to lose are strokes.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, and we're continuing with a great conversation with our special guest, Mark Cheney, who is a certified mental performance consultant and coach / coach. What is the commonality of problem? I can't think of a better word than of people that come to you. Obviously, there are different issues, but is there one that overtakes the others?
I think confidence is a big one.
Confidence, yeah.
And how to just manage the ebbs and flows of that. And I think the second, probably most common, is responding to adversity. And how do they handle a tough situation, and can they bounce back or move through that, or does that destroy the round or destroy the game for them? I think those are the two most common.
Yep. I think one of the hardest things for anybody that plays golf, and I'm sure it's happened to most people that are tuned in, you're really playing well, and you tee it up at 18, you go, God, if I only could make a bogey on this hole, I'm going to break 90 for the first time. And you walk off with a double or a triple. How does that happen? Well, again, you have a bad drive, you end up in the rocks or whatever. That's got to be a pretty common scenario, isn't it?
It does, and it starts before the tee shot. Because if somebody has that conversation with themselves, they said, if I make a bogey, or whatever the number is, then I'll shoot this. They're no longer present. They're in the future.
Great point.
And concurrently, they're starting to write a story. The story they're about to tell their buddies in the clubhouse of what I just shot or how I just shot my career. So they're completely out of the present.
Right. Yeah.
And now they're going to be out of the routine, and it becomes much more outcome oriented instead of I'm going to go through my routine. I'm going to pick my target. I'm going to execute a golf shot. And then I'm going to repeat and repeat that.
Speaking of that, Mark, what is the importance, or what importance do you put on having what people call a good pre-shot routine?
I think it's hugely important because it gives you that opportunity to exert control in a largely uncontrollable game. Now, a lot of people talk about the importance of that, but their pre-shot routine is, I look at the yardage, I pick a club, I waggle a couple of times, I
Right.
swing. That's a physical routine,
Yeah.
which is valuable. I mean, some people don't even have that. That's great, but let's have a mental routine. Let's make our calculations, make a decision about what we want to execute. Then let's commit to that. Let's remember the basics, like picturing the shot we want to execute, manage our breathing,
Right.
and then act. And making sure that we're taking care of the thinking at the appropriate time and the acting at the appropriate time. So it needs to be a mental routine of, do I see the shot I want? Do I feel the shot I want? Am I controlling my physiology through my breath? Am I present? And then am I pulling the trigger?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember years back, I was playing with a gentleman who also is a mental coach, good player. And we got out, and I forgot where we were playing, got out, and I said, okay, guys, I really feel good around in me today. No three putts, no. And he's going, Dennis, why do you even put that in your head? No three putts. Why do you even say that? And it's the same thing people, have to carry the water or something like that. They go, just pretend it's not there. Don't even say it. I'm going to get over the water. You're kind of programming and setting yourself up for what probably is going to be a bad shot.
Yeah, and it's again, acknowledge it's there. Okay, there's water on the
Yeah.
right side, which is intimidating to a
Yeah.
lot of golfers.
Yeah.
Okay, it's there. Now I need to choose my target. And execute what I know to do in order to put the ball in a position where I can
Right.
advance it to my next shot. And so it's not pretending it's not there, but it's redirecting our attention
Yeah.
to what's important now.
Yeah. Get the negatives out of your conversation. That is so true. All right. What's in the future for you? Number one, you're writing a book, you're coming out with a record or whatever. And how do people get a hold of you? They want to work on their game. They want to get better. This is the guy that can do it for you. How do they get a hold of you?
Sure. So let's start with that question first. So my website is www.coachmarkcheney.com. And that has my email, that has my social media, it has my phone number on there.
Okay.
That's going to be the quickest way to get a hold of me. Also, if you go there, free newsletter for anyone. So you click on the pop-up box and put your email in, and that gets you
newsletter.
on the newsletter as well.
And what is that composed of, the newsletter?
So, like I mentioned before, it's the 90%.
Okay.
And so we're always going to look at something I'm working on. So it could be a project or a team I'm working with, somebody that's inspiring, that's showing their use of the mental game. Not just golfers, could be any athlete
Yeah.
or any type of
Yeah.
performer. And then a skill or a tip that you can implement immediately, whether that's for you or for your team or for your organization. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. My social media is all the same thing too. It's at Coach Mark Cheney. And then to your first question of what's next, I'm hosting the Las Vegas Mental Performance Summit in February. So
Right. Okay.
so I'm the founder and host. That's my baby. The opportunity to bring together people who are in the field of performance and sports psychology, but then also people who are coaches who are just interested in the mental game. And that registration's on Eventbrite, and there'll also be a link on my website.
Okay.
That people can sign up
I'd love to go
for
to
that.
that. I'd love
So,
to attend.
February 22nd.
If I
It's
get
gonna
a
be
media rate, that is.
right up the street, and we'll make you a good deal, Dennis.
Yeah, I would. I definitely want to. I definitely want to go to that. All right, last question before I let you go, because I know you got to get to work. Do you believe there's such a thing as getting in the zone? A lot of people go back and forth on this.
Yes, but I think the zone is overrated.
Okay.
If you talk to professionals, if you talk to elite performers, they'll say they can get to the zone maybe 10, 15% of the time. So it's a fantastic experience. It's where you think your best and feel your best and perform your best. And we'd all love to be there more.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do the other 80, 85% of the time when we're not in the zone?
Right.
And how are you going to be successful in those moments? So the zone for sure exists. It's a physiological state. There are processes that happen in the mind. There are neurotransmitters that are getting released. We just haven't really figured out how to trigger that on command.
Yeah.
So constantly trying to pursue that when you've got all this other time when we're not there, may not be the best use of our energy there. So yeah, it exists. I think it's fantastic when you get there, but how are we going to function the rest of the time?
The rest of the time, right? It's just a small percentage of your round. But if you have or had the feeling of getting there, you know what it's like, and it's just absolutely tremendous. Where you could just go along, hit shot after shot after shot, and that's what it's all about. But you need a lot more than that. A lot more than that. Anyway, Mark, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to you.
And to you. This was fun.
And we'll be in touch. We'd love to have you back sooner than later and stuff like that. So anyway, that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for golfers. For Mark, I'm Dennis Silvers. Wishing you nothing but fairways and greens. Keep it in the short stuff. Get out, get some golf if you have a chance to, and start working on that mental game. It is important because it's the whole package. So anyway, we'll see you back. Same place, same time next week. So until then, so long, and Happy New Year to everybody, and happy holidays. We'll see you. The revolutionary Power to Golf Club is helping golfers around the world continue to enjoy the greatest game of all. This amazing club requires no swing to hit shots from 50 up to 225 yards. That's right, no swing to hit shots, including fades, draws, low shots, as well as high ones. One incredible club does it all. Golfers with a wide variety of physical issues, including bad backs, hips, shoulders, and more, are now back in the game golfing with friends and family. Just set the club to the desired distance, and with a push of the button, the easy-to-use Power to Golf Club launches shots down the fairway and onto the green. The Power to Golf Club has been endorsed by some of the biggest names in golf, and the number of golfers enjoying the game by use of our unique technology continues to grow. Whether a physical issue or just want to join in on the fun, the Power to Golf Club is for you. Don't be left on the sidelines. Get back in the game today. Visit at powergolfclub.com. One of the perks about being in golf media is that I get to try every club ever made. Of course, like most things, some are better than others. I'm here to tell you that I have found unquestionably the absolute best performing set of irons I have ever played, and my scores show it. Let me introduce you to Grindworks, custom fitted irons that are made to fit your game. Grindworks offers players 3 different styles of irons. You can choose muscle back irons, cavity back irons, and even blades, along with some awesome wedges. And when you purchase your clubs, Grindworks lets you choose the type of shaft you want, the type grip you prefer, and even will adjust the loft and lie of your clubs if needed. That's unheard of. So what are you waiting for? Feel the power and experience and performance of these amazing clubs. Simply go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046 to order. Trust me, your handicap will love you for it.